Hello and welcome back to another video in the Complete Web Dev series. I'm excited because in this video we're going to do something kind of unique and a little bit new. We're going to work on uploading files and validating those and everything else like that. And we are rounding out the admin side of our content management system. And so we're going to have just a few more videos there and then just maybe one, possibly two videos to finish everything else. So this is getting close to the end here. Like I said, I think we're going to end up a little bit under 40 videos for this chapter, which is not unsurprising. I did have a few requests to do a few extra things, which would be to improve security on the configuration stuff and also possibly go ahead and deploy this live so that we can see how this works on the live server. So we may do that. You guys give me a comment below if that's something you would like to do. So I'm going to switch over to the screen here. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe if you're enjoying the series so far. And what we're going to do here is add a new branch to work on. So we're going to be doing v33. So I'm going to do a git checkout-b v33. Once I've done that, we'll just go ahead and push that up to live. So I'm going to do set-upstream. And we'll do origin v33. All right, once we've done that, we are on a new branch and ready to roll. So let's go and open up some new files here. What we're also, go to your browser and just go to localhost cms admin article and new, and that will bring up our article form that we worked on the last. We're going to be adding an upload file thing here. The other thing we're going to do is just go ahead and open up the database by going to localhost/php myadmin. Once you're there, click on the CMS deal here, and if you go to articles, we are going to be affecting the image right here. Okay, so what I'd like to do is a couple things. Let's first talk about security. I think what I'm going to do is switch back to my camera here. Let's talk about security. First and foremost, having users upload files to your server poses a security risk. They can upload malicious files or viruses or malware to your server. And so it's advisable to not kind of do what we're going to do here. The best way to handle this is to use a service like Amazon S3 or Google, some sort of cloud hosting thing that you can upload through an API, a file to a separate server, and then store the URL to that file on your database and basically access those files from external servers through API calls. What that does is if someone uploads malware to there, it doesn't affect your server, it doesn't give people access to your server and possibly your database and things like that. However, that costs money. And so we're going to do this a more traditional way where we just have a directory in our project on our server where we're going to be uploading files to our server and retrieving them from our server. And so this is more for demonstration purposes, but if you're going to do this on a professional level or for a big scaled application where you're going to have people that you don't trust uploading files or may gain access to upload files, you probably want to look more into like an S3 service. So now that we got that disclaimer out of the way, let's go ahead and switch back to the screen. And while we're here on the screen, what we want to do is make sure we're going to have access. So I'm going to hit clear here just to get this up to the top. And I want to make sure that we have access to upload our files. So if I do an ls, if I do cd app and ls, we have this uploads folder that we created. And if I do an ls-la, we can see that our uploads here may have permission, but it might be a problem. So what I'm going to do is just for that folder, we're going to do a sudo change mod, and we're going to do a recursive -r, which won't really do anything because right now there's nothing in there. But we're going to do a -r777, and then we're going to do /uploads. And what that's going to do is give the permissions of 777 to uploads and everything in it, meaning that everyone has access to write and read from that directory alone. And I'll put in my password. I may have malformed this, but now if I do an ls-la, you can see that uploads now has write access for everyone else, and before it did not. You can also see that this is highlighted green by my terminal. It may not be by yours, but if it looks something like this, or if it says 777, you're not going to have a problem uploading files through XAMPP. Okay, now that we've done that, we need to talk a little bit about the ability to do this. So first, let's create the front end. And in order to do that, let's go to our form helpers. And in our form helpers, we're going to create a new helper for file upload. So underneath our text area, let's just create a new public static function, and we're going to call this file upload. And again, this is going to take quite a bit of things. It's going to take our label, our ID, it'll take input attributes. I'm just going to call that input for now. And then it'll take our wrapper attributes, and it will take our errors. All right. And once we have that, let's go ahead and get my stupid ACs kicking on. We're going to say our input attributes is going to be equal to self append errors, and we're going to pass in the ID and the input attributes here, and also our errors. Once we have that, we're going to do our wrapper string, which will be self process attributes, and we're going to process the wrapper, and then we will do our input string, and this will be self process attributes, and we're going to pass in our input attributes here, and then what we're going to do is do an error message, and the error message is going to be equal to array key exists. And we're looking for the ID in the errors, and if it exists, then what we're going to do is we're going to do errors ID with a key of ID, else it's just going to be an empty string there. Alright, so now we can start building out our HTML. So we can say HTML is going to be equal to, and we'll do our div here. And the div is going to have the wrapper string inside of it. We'll close that div, and then we're going to do HTML, and we'll concatenate onto that with a dot equals, and we're going to add a label in here. The label is going to have a for, and I'll do a backslash double quote, and then we'll close that label. And then inside of there, we're going to just use our string literal to put our label right in that string there. And then in the for right here, we're going to use a string literal to put in the ID. Okay, so there's our label. The next thing that we're going to do is add to our HTML again on the next line here. And we're going to use, for this, we're going to use an input. Oops, I need my double quotes here. We're going to use an input, and the type for the input is going to be, here is just going to be file. Oops, I forgot my equals sign here. Okay, so then the ID is going to be equal to our ID, and then our name will also make equal to our ID, and then we'll add our input string, and then we'll close that. Oops, that needs to be right there. Alright, so now we have the input taken care of. The next thing that we're going to do is add to our HTML, and we'll put our feedback in here. So this is going to have a div with a class equal to invalid feedback. And then we'll do our closing div, and then we'll do one more closing div to close the entire wrapper. And then in this div here, we're just going to use a string literal to put in our error message, like that. The next thing that we'll just do is return our HTML, and that's it. So this will build out our file upload. So now let's go ahead and go to our view, which was in the app views admin, and then we called this article. And so in here, underneath our text area, let's add another row here, and this is just going to have our form helper, and then we're going to put our file upload right there. And close that off. And then we're going to give it a label of featured image. The ID is going to be featured image. And then we'll give it a class. And the class is going to be form control dash file. All right. And then what we're going to do is give it a class for the wrapper as well. And for this, we're just going to do form group and call 12. And then we'll pass in this errors, just like that. And that will conclude the file upload. So if we go back now to the front end and refresh, we should have this featured image down here where if we click this, it'll open this for us to go ahead and try to pick some images. So in preparation for that, what I've done is I've just gone to Google and I typed in cool images. And literally I clicked on images here, and I've just gone through and downloaded some of these that I thought looked cool. So you can do that. Go ahead and do a few of those so that we can just use those here for practice. Or if you have your own images you'd like to use, you can absolutely do that. We're going to do a little bit more to this view a little bit later, but for now I think we'll leave it at this. So let's go and talk about the actual file upload part. What we need to do is create a model. Well, this isn't going to be a real model actually, because we're not going to extend our core model, but right click here and create a new file, and let's call this upload.php. And we're going to handle all of our logic for uploading in this class. So what we're going to do here is just go ahead and open PHP and give it a namespace, and in this case the namespace is app_models, and then we're just going to use our core helper class so that we can do a few things there, and then what we're going to do is just call this class upload, and we don't need to extend anything because this is just going to be a parent class here. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a public property to hold the file itself, the field, and we're going to create one for errors, which will be an empty array by default. And then we're going to add a few more. We're going to add public, and we'll do size, temp, and extension. And then let's add another public max size, and this max size we're going to set this equal to 2 million. So put 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and that will make the file size 2 megabytes basically of allowed upload. And then what we're going to do is do a public allowed file types. And for us, what we're going to do is we are just going to have a couple. We're going to allow JPEG, so JPG is going to be the key, and then image /JPEG will be the value, and then we're also going to allow PNGs, and this will be image /PNG, and I'll show you what we're going to do to check this in a little bit. but we're going to use GIFs or GIFs, however you want to pronounce that, and we'll do image / GIF. So these are going to be our allowed, and then what we're going to do is we're going to set a public required equal to true by default. All right, the next thing that we're going to do here is create our constructor, and so we're going to use the public function magic method given to us, so 2 underscores and then construct, and this is going to take the field in as our parameter. And so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, this field is equal to field. And that'll give us access to this property right here and set it to what we pass in there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to run a function called this check initial error, just to see if there's any sort of like weird error before we do anything. Now we don't have that function, so let's just go down here and we're going to do a private function here, and we'll just call it check initial error, and we'll come back to that in a second. The next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to say this is back in a constructor. We're going to say this file is equal to, and then we'll use the magic or the global variable that's set up by PHP server here for files, and we're going to look for the field inside of that. Okay, so that'll set our files to this file, and then what we're going to do is we're going to say this size is equal to, and then we'll set that equal to this file size, and then we'll say this temp is equal to this file, and then this is actually going to be tmp underscore name. All right, and then we'll say this ext, so this extension, and we're going to use a function called path info through PHP, and we're going to pass in as a parameter this file name, and then for the second we're going to use a flag here, and we're going to say path info underscore extension. So this is a little bit more of a reliable way to check the path info extension, and we're going to set this to the extension right here. Now the reason we're doing all of this here is just to make it a little bit easier for our checks later, that this is going to be stored and we won't have to do this logic later. So when the construction happens, that will work there. All right, so let's go ahead and write this check initial error real quick. And so what we'll do here is we'll say if not is set $_files this field, all right, or we're going to say is array $_files this field error. So sometimes there could be an error when trying to upload, and that's not anything we did, it's just an error, and so we need to check that. And if that happens, we're actually going to throw a new runtime exception, and we're just going to say something is wrong with the file, and we don't know what's wrong with it at that point. The user might have tried to do something weird, but this check initial error will take care of that. Okay, the rest of the validation we're going to do a little bit later, but let's just go ahead and see what we got going on here. So go back to the admin controller, open that up, and inside of this article action, go down to the request is post section, and before the save, we're going to handle our file upload stuff. You know what? Right here, we're gonna inside of this article save, we're going to do we're gonna start working on our uploads. Okay. We're going to say, where do I want to do this? Okay, up here, outside of the if statement, let's just do upload is equal to new upload, and then we're going to, in parentheses, pass in the name of the field, which in our case was featured image. Okay, so that's gonna instantiate the new upload. Now we need to require that in, and we can just do it right here in this article. Or I'm sorry, in the models use statement group here, we can just say upload. There we go. And then that will take care of this. So now we have this upload variable. And what I'd like to do is let's just dump and die that real quick to make sure that everything looks good before we get going too crazy. So if I go here now, I'm gonna create an article. We'll choose a file, and I'm gonna go to pictures. I'll just choose this one. We'll hit upload and hit save. And now we get this dump and die. And the dump and die is, you can see that the file is set. Okay, so we have all this that's given to us by the server. We have the field set. We have our errors. We have our size. So we can see our size right there. And then we can see the temp location of that file. We can see that the extension on this is JPEG, and then we have our allowed types and our required properties. So this object is built out correctly, so I'm pretty happy with that. Let's go back now and just hit enter to get back to here. So we need to handle this upload stuff, but we need to do quite a bit more before we do that. Let's go. And what we're going to do is we're only going to require them to upload a file if it's new. So let's do if ID is equal to new. Then what we're going to do here, actually, you know what? We set, in this upload file, we set this required to true by default. So we're going to do if not new. So if it's not equal to new, then what we're going to do here is we're going to set article required equal to false. Now that was a public property, so we can go ahead and just manipulate that here outside of the class. Once that's done, what we're going to do here is we're going to say upload errors is equal to upload validate, and our validate function there will just return upload errors. Let's see. I'm going to leave this article saved for now. Now this is red squigglies because we haven't created a validate method yet in the upload. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go here to the upload. I'm going to turn off my AC for now, guys. Sorry about that. If it gets hot, I'll turn it back on, but that'll help a little bit with the noise. So let's go and figure out the validate method. So right here, I prefer to keep my public methods together. So underneath here, I'm going to do a public function, and we'll do validate. And let's see. Is required. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is check to see if they set it. So we'll do an empty check. We're going to say if empty this temp. And if that's true, we're going to say this errors, this field is equal to file is required. Now, because we have this required thing here and it's set to true, what we're going to have to do in this if statement is we're going to add an additional check there So we're going to say if it's empty, we'll do and this required. Then we'll do this check here, okay? Then what we're going to do is underneath this if statement here, we're going to check the file size. So we'll see check size. And the check size is going to say if this size is greater than this max size, which was what we set here at the top by default. If it's greater than that, then we're going to do this errors, this field is equal to exceeded file size limit of, and then we're actually going to concatenate on this format bytes, and we'll pass in this max size. Okay, because we're going to create a function here to display that a little nicer. And then what we're going to do is we are going to make sure that our file matches the type that's being uploaded. So we're going to check if allowed type. Now this isn't 100% accurate, but we're going to do our best here. And we're just going to say the file info is going to be equal to new file info. Now this is built into PHP, and we're going to pass in file info underscore mime underscore type. Okay, so that's going to build out a new object here, and I need to give a space there. That's built into PHP. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of a check here. We're going to do the check, and we're going to say, we'll just say type is equal to, and I need to set that to lowercase. We're going to say type is equal to finfo, so file info, and then we're going to run the file method, and we're going to pass in this temp, which is, now this temp stores the path on our server to the actual file that's being uploaded from the browser. So it puts a temporary file on our server. Okay, so then now that we have that type, what we can do is do an if statement here, and we're going to say if array search, and we're going to pass type in, and we're going to do this allowed file types. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to say if that equals false, then we're going to say this errors. So if this isn't in the array, we're going to say this errors, this field, okay, and we'll say not an allowed file type must be, and then we're going to concatenate on an implode. And what we're going to use to implode is the glue will be a comma and a space, and then for the second parameter, we're just going to pass in the array keys of this allowed file types. Okay, so we'll save that. Now then what we're going to do is at the end of this validate, after this if statement, we're just going to return this errors. Okay, all right. Now unfortunately we probably need to reset these errors. So maybe at the top of this validate, we're going to say this errors is equal to an empty array. That way, every time this validate runs, it'll empty that out. It may not be totally necessary, but we'll just do that. The other thing we want to add is this FormatBytes method. And I want to be honest, I found this on Stack Overflow, so I did not write this, but I'll do my best to explain what it's doing. FormatBytes, and this is going to take in the bytes and the precision, which we're just going to set to 2 for now. And then it's going to have a units, and units is going to be an array. It's going to be B, KB, MB, GB, and TB. So we got bytes, kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes, and terabytes. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to say bytes is equal to the max of bytes, and then and 0. So it's either going to be 0, whatever is higher. So if this is undefined, this is going to be just 0. Then we're going to use the power, or we're going to say power here. We're going to say floor. So it's a built-in PHP function. So we're going to round down, and we're going to find if bytes. Then we're going to do log bytes. Else, we're just going to pass in 0. Oops. And this, and then what we're going to do here is we're going to actually divide this by log of 1024. Okay. Now, what does log do? Let's look that up real quick because I can't explain that. Let's see, php.net, and let's look up the log function here. Looks like a natural algorithm. So what this is going to do is it's going to take the logarithm of the float here, which will be bytes, and it's going to divide it by 1024. Okay. So, and I don't exactly understand the math on how that works, which is not cool, but that's, I'm not going to do the time to look it up. And then we're going to take the minimum of the power and then the count units minus 1. All right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to return, we're going to round, and what we're going to do is round bytes, and we're going to pass the precision, which will just be 0.2. And then what we're going to do is do a blank space as a character there, and then we'll pass in units power. All right, so let's try to figure this out. Power is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. So this is going to find basically how many times this 1024 goes into the bytes. So if it's just 1024, it's going to go in, and this will be 1 divided by 1. Okay, so then what happens is that's 1. So then the kilobytes will be returned right here. So it'd be, the round would be 1 kilobytes. If we pass in megabytes, it's going to see how many times 1024 goes into it, and it would be 2, so it would return this, and then that would get put in here. Okay, so that's kind of how this function works. So let's go ahead and save this now, and let's do a few things. Let's test it out. We need to get rid of this dump and die, and we'll add it right here. And we want to see the upload errors, like that. Okay, so let's go now and see if we can figure out how to break this. And one way that I'm going to break this is, let's try that size one out. And so go back to the upload here, and we're just going to temporarily change this size to 20. All right, and if I go ahead and upload some stuff, pick one of these, make sure it's over 2 bytes, which it will be, or 20 rather. Hit save, and then we can see we have an array that says the featured image exceeded the file size limit of 20 bytes. And I actually don't like that space right there, so I'm actually going to get rid of that. If you go down to this right here, I'm just going to get rid of that space. We'll just concatenate on the units there. So I'll refresh, continue, and now it just says 20 bytes. I don't know if that's correct or not. I'm used to seeing it like this. So you guys can make a decision if you want a space there or not. All right, the next thing we want to check is, let's just check if they've actually added an image. So now if I try to add a new image here and hit save, file name cannot be empty. Oh, I know why that happened. So in this validate function, it's trying to run this, and we only want to run this if if empty, this errors. All right, and so we will move all of this into here. There we go. So it's not, if there's an error from this or this, it's not going to actually run this. We may have to do the same thing up here. Okay, there we go. Now it says a file is required. And let's see if we can break well, we did the file size one. Let's see if we can break this one now. So let's go and let's manipulate one of our files. So I'm going to open this up. I don't know that this is actually going to work. We might have to just kind of trust this one. And I'm going to right click here. I'm going to rename this, and I'm going to rename the extension to something like, well, you know what? Actually, we can just try to upload a text file. So I'm going to try to upload this txt file. So go back here. And we'll upload, where is that at? Right here, this txt, hit open, hit save. Oh, and it still exceeds the maximum limit. So let me set that back to 2 million. There we go. Now it says not an allowed type, must be JPEG, PNG, or GIF. Now I need a space there. So let's go to that validate, must be, and I'm going to add a space right there. All right, now I feel pretty confident that we're checking at least enough things to make sure they've added an image that's the right type of image and it's the right size. Okay. Not 100% guaranteed on this. Again, that's why it's best to use some sort of API, but at least we're doing some checks to try to negate some issues. So let's now do a couple things. One is let's handle the error messages. So instead of doing a dump and die here on these error messages, let's get rid of that dump and die. And what we're going to do instead is we're going to do a check, and we're going to say, hey, if not empty, upload errors. Then what we're going to do is do a for each upload errors as field error. And then what we're going to do is say article set error, and we could just pass in the field and the error like that. So this will loop through each one of our upload errors and add them to our article errors so that they display in the down here in the view. So let's go now and refresh here to resubmit that. I did save. That's unfortunate. Why did it save there? There should be an error. So let's double check that logic. Maybe I messed something up. Go to the model, and first let's do set errors. Validation is run. So let me look. Save. You know what we need to do, I think, is if we run the set errors, we also need to tell it that validation is not passed. So we can do this validation passed is equal to false. All right. So now let's go and try that again. We'll go to articles /new. And I'm going to put some random thing here. And then I'm going to select that text one again so that it breaks on purpose. And we'll hit save. And here we go. Now we get an error. It didn't save, and it says not an allowed file type. Must be JPEG, PNG, or GIF. Okay, now that we've done that, we need to actually do the upload. So let's continue on here. So in the admin controller, let me close the model. We don't need to do anything else there. But in the admin controller now, let's see. We need to know, give me 1 second just to read through this real quick. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to set up a file path. So if this is saved, we're going to do file path, and that's going to be equal to uploads /featured actually we call this featured images /featured image underscore, and then we're going to pass in our article ID here. So that'll be the path that we save this in. So it's going to create a directory in here called featured images, and then we'll add a file called featured _image_, and it's going to have the article ID with it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say upload, and we're going to run an upload method that we haven't created yet. And this is going to upload to proot, not root, so our project root. And we'll do a directory separator, and then we're going to put on our file path right there. Then what we're going to do is we are going to do the article image is going to be equal to our file path. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we have to run article save again to update that file path. The thing is we need to, let's look at that upload function real quick, which would be super easy. So go to the upload model here, and we're underneath this validate, let's create another method here. We'll call it public function upload. And then we're going to upload the file name. And then we're going to call a built-in PHP function called move uploaded file. And then we pass in the temporary location, which is this temp. And then we give it the file name like that. So then that will work if we have all the permissions we need. The problem is we don't necessarily want to run this if there's no image. Okay, so what we're going to do here is add another if statement, and we're going to say if article if not empty article temp, then we will do all of this, and regardless, because it's saved, because it's saved, we're gonna do those session redirect. So let's save that now. So this article action's a little complex because of the file upload stuff, but it's still not that bad. Let's go here and let's just try a new one. I'm gonna go to my database and actually clear out a lot of these additional ones here. So I'm just gonna delete this one. All right, we'll go back now and let's create, let's choose a category. Let's do computer science. We'll do an article title, why PHP is awesome. Because it is. And then we'll give it a file name, and we'll do these fists. Hit open, and we'll hit save. Now it says it's saved. Let's go and look at the database and hit browse. The image is actually null here, so that's not a good sign. Let's check the uploads directory. Again, not a good sign. What happened? Let's try to create a new directory here, and we're going to inside of uploads, and let's call it featured images. Okay, now let's go back and let's go back to article new, or actually, you know what, since we just uploaded one, we can go to article / and I'll go to 16 so we can try to update this one. And we'll do choose file. I'm gonna choose the fists again. Hit save. And then again, let's go here, refresh. And again, we got some problems. So what is happening here? Let me just make sure this if statement isn't stopping this from going in here. First of all, we'll go back, hit back to go to article 16, try fist again, hit save, go back here, refresh, and that is the issue. It did save this, but that doesn't mean it saved the image. So now if we go and click on our featured image here, there is no new file in there. So we still have an issue here. File path. Let's do an ls-la again. cd into uploads, ls-la, and featured images are not right. So I'm going to do sudo change mod -r 777 featured images. Okay, now there's write permissions, so let's try it one more time and see if that was the issue. We don't get a lot of feedback from PHP when it doesn't work. That's kind of the thing that makes it a little bit hard to figure out. So I'm going to hit back. We'll hit choose file, fist, open, save that, and then let's go back here. We'll go down to uploads, featured, and still nothing. Man, that's a bummer. Stupid file permission stuff, man, probably. But let's double check some stuff here. Let me look over my... Well, first of all, this if statement here, instead of article, this should have been upload. So that I chose the wrong object there, but that's not what the problem is. Let's go to upload, move uploaded file from and to from this temp to the file name. So I guess in here, let's do something. Let's go ahead and let's do h dump and die, and let's dump and die this temp and try again. I'm gonna hit back, save, and now it's saying opt lamp temp PHP, and then this, so that looks correct. Let me try to go back, and now let's dump and die file name. See what that looks like. Opt lamp htdocs cms upload featured images / featured image _ 16. You know, that could be one issue, is that it doesn't have a file extension, although I don't think that's what's stopping this from uploading. I'm going to leave that off for now. Let me see. Let's see this test equals, and this is just going to return, I don't know, this is kind of probably a dumb thing to test, but we'll just dump and die test here. Okay, so this gives us no such file or directory on line 44. Unable to move opt lamp temp to line 44. Oh, I know what it is, I think. So inside of our file name right here, this is actually inside of app /. So now let's go back. Now let's add this. Hit save. Ooh, now it says true. So it should, if I look in here, let's see, let's go here and do ls cd into featured images ls, and there we go, we got featured image 16. So that's cool. So I did upload a file. I'm not sure that everything's working just yet, but we should be able to go to the database now, and this is going to be wrong. So that happened because of our dump and die. So I'm just going to change that to app /. And then let's just copy that and go to localhost cms /. Yep, it loaded. And so this is working. Now let's just double check everything out. I'm going to delete this whole article, and I'm going to go and delete that image, although I want it. All right, we'll delete that, and then now let's go and try. Oh, I need to go back, and I need to get rid of that dump and die. And actually, we can just, if we want, we can just return test here, like that. So then let's just go to article new. And we'll do, this is why PHP is awesome. We'll set this to computer science because Curtis says so. That's just a joke. But then let's check, let's add this image. We'll hit save. It says it's saved. Let's go to here. We'll hit ls. There it is, featured image 17. Perfect. Okay, so now what I'd like to be able to do is when we go to edit an image, I'd like to show that image in our view. And so what we can do here is underneath our row that we have all of the fields, let's do a PHP if statement. And we're going to say if this has image, and I guess we'll skip down a few lines and we'll do PHP end if. And inside here, we're going to do a div with a class of dflex and another class of align items center. And then we'll do an h5 with a class of mr2, and this will be current image. And underneath that, we're going to do the image, and this, come on, the image source is we're going to do a PHP echo the root, and then we're going to concatenate on this article image. All right, and we don't need this alt tag for now. So then we'll do a style equal to, and this is just an inline style, we'll do height 75 pixels, width 75 pixels, and then we'll do object fit cover. And this is a self-closing tag. So I'm going to save that. And now we need to tell it if it has it. So if we go back to the admin portal, this is easy. We just down here, we'll just declare this view has image is equal to not empty article image. So if that's set, it's going to assume that it has one. So now let's go, and mine was article 17. And I know that because I can look here and see in my database, if I refresh, article 17 is my newest one. And so then the current image shows up down here to show me what my current image is. And it's just 75 pixels by 75 pixels. So it gives us a little bit of a preview of what we have, not what we've chosen. If I choose this, it's not going to show that until I hit save, and then I can hit back. And what? Article 17. There we go. I guess I can't hit back there, but that works. That shows that. What else? What else? What else? We may just wrap that up on this video here. Yeah, I think that's all we're going to do in this video. So the uploads, make sure that if your uploads aren't working, that the path, it's probably a path issue or it's a permission issue most of the time. All right, guys, with that, hope you've enjoyed this video. Please comment, like, subscribe. You can head over to freeskills.life to get some sweet merch, and you can support me on Patreon by going to patreon.com/freeskills. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. Peace out.